Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and another video. Let's go into the intro and get right into it. Yes, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and another video. I've affectionately called this The Good, the Bad and the Geordies. And joining us this evening, I've got two. Obviously, I said it on Twitter earlier, when it's a big show, you have to call on the big hitters and you can't get two bigger hitters than this. So it's us, obviously the head honcho of Arsenal above all, Michael. Michael, how you doing, my friend?
Thanks, James. Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on. And just reflecting football. It's a long time, a week's a long time, but a couple of days is absolute murder. Going from 5-1 to what we saw yesterday. But no, thanks for having me on. It's great to be on as always with you and Neil.
I love it. Thank you, Mike. And also, obviously, he said it there, Neil. Neil, how you doing, my friend? As Michael affectionately calls you, I'm going to steal your line, the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive.
Please don't start. Thank you so much. I'll just echo what Michael said. Thank you, James, as always. Always a pleasure to join you on your channel. And as I said, every say like a broken record, and I go, but it's you and James and Michael. There's three of us, and then it's on Arsenal above all. But it's on this. I always get confused. It's just you two are the other way around at the top. It's hilarious. It's great.
Do you want me to swap them so that it can I can put you at the top if you want. We can really go for it. We can really cause some confusion.
No. You keep me down at the bottom. I'm happy down here. Thank you very much. But thank you for having me on. Thank you as always.
Any time. And obviously, yes, we are smiling. If we recorded this last night, probably would have been a completely different. I might not have had a laptop if I recorded this last night. Actually, I probably would have booted the MacBook in. But yeah, obviously it's been a week since I've recorded. We've had 3 games. We've had a closing of a transfer window. We'll try and get as up to speed as we can get because there's so much to talk about. But I will try and keep it as short and sweet as we possibly can. But if we are going on and we're enjoying ourselves, and if you haven't got anywhere to be, let me know and we'll keep it going as per. But yes, the first one, obviously, Arsenal away in the Champions League at Girona. First thing first, obviously fully rotated here. Neto coming in goal. Partey played right back. Kivior was in centre back with Gabriel. Calafiori was at left back. Jorginho and Moreno come in the middle. And then we had a forward line of Sterling, Trossard and Nwaneri. And first things first, in terms of this club being owned by Manchester City, you can clearly see where their owners' priorities lie because this is one of the worst stadiums / camera angles I've ever seen for a foot. I mean, anyone that watched this on TNT, they should have supplied us with a neck brace because I was constantly doing this whilst I was watching the game. It was terrible. It was like playing sensible soccer on the SNES or something, weren't it, back in the day? The camera angles shocking, absolutely shocking. And I'm like, these have got the same owners as City. I'm like, well, I'm like, oh, they're not putting 200 million into this club. You know, they don't like it as much as they like the club in Manchester. But yeah, obviously that was a lineup. And then starting, obviously, Raheem Sterling, he had an early chance and curled it wide. Trossard, he then hit a sitter wide from Nwaneri's ball. Calafiori, he scored, but it was offside. And then Danjuma scores for Girona after Neto was in complete no man's land. And also, he tried to save the ball at the same time. Absolute nutcase. Neil, any thoughts on the first appearance and possibly the last appearance on Neto, please?
Was he not the captain from where he came from? That's the funniest thing, wasn't he? I thought he was.
Well, did he get that in a raffle?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. That's unbelievable, right? That's brilliant, isn't it? That's brilliant.
Maddening.
Absolute farcical, comical moment, wasn't it? Oh my gosh. I mean, all right, we weren't laughing, but I think in hindsight we can sit back and laugh. But I have I have a suspicion that he's not going to be able to get back into the team. I think it's going to be. He's not had many chances anyway, as it is. I think it's been a waste of a loan signing. We could have done maybe some different type of business, especially this January, where it has been so needed and accentuated by that game yesterday, where we so needed a certain player in a certain position. And if it came to it, if we had any loan slots available, we could have potentially managed it that way. But no, I think we've not done good business there, even if it's a loan. And that was just a horrendous mistake. And I don't know what he was thinking to try and save it, because if he had actually saved it, he would have been sent off, right? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it would have been even worse for us. So,
Yeah.
let it go. You've completely messed up. Come off your line. You've just made a blunder. Just deal with it. I mean, I don't know, but I don't expect to see him again anytime soon. But thankfully, because we had such an important game, the next one, thankfully Raya, because there was some doubts about Raya. Thank goodness he was able to make that, because he made a massive contribution in the next game. You all know.
Oh God, yeah. And Mike, is there anything you want to add on Neto, or do you think we've spoken about him enough already?
Yeah, just as well he was alone. That's all I'll say. Matches his name, Neto, and just the fact that we didn't have to actually fork out anything for him. And he's going to be someone that we're going to have to address and replace in the summer, isn't it? We obviously talk about it on the WhatsApp group, but you kind of worried that hopefully Raya can remain fit for the remaining. Is it 14 league games, and then we've got another 2 in the Champions League, so 16 games. You're kind of hoping that he can stay fit. Maybe if it's more after that, hopefully there will be that we go a bit further. But yeah, that was really bad, really bad judgment. And I get it's his first game, but he's got loads of miles on the clock. So for him to be in that position was really, really bad. But yeah, at least it didn't cost us.
Yeah, and obviously right after that, Thomas Partey wins Arsenal penalty, and thankfully this time Jorginho, who next to Saka's probably is our best penalty kick taker, he actually steps up and converts it. And then I'll go to you first again, Neil, because obviously I have to when it's this player. The second goal against Girona, Ethan Nwaneri.
Jesus!
It's wax lyrical time. We're going to do it probably a few more times this episode, but just on this goal against Girona, Neil, what was the feeling when he was cutting in? Were you going pass, or were you like, is he going to shoot? Is he going to shoot?
No, just a quick one before I speak about that. I've got so much time for Jorginho. I really have. I think he's such a competent and underrated, and he's not one of these overwhelming players that makes the headlines. But what he does, I feel like he does very well. I'm actually sad to see him, depart in the summer. I think he's going, isn't he? But I know it's to do with age, and we need to make space and relax the wages and all the rest of it. But I think he's been one of our better Chelsea acquisitions. I think he's done a tremendous job. Probably 90% of the time when he's come on, and the way he took that penalty, you just knew that he's just not going to miss it. And it was a well-taken penalty as well. I mean, I just love him. I think he's a great ambassador and servant for our club. And then, I wasn't expecting him to pass at all, because I just know what this boy is all about. I just want to see him do that over and over again. The difference is, I remember when Pepe used to try and find his left foot because that was his stronger foot, and then he'd just get caught out because he tried to beat those 2 or 3 players and then just get done, and it became so predictable. I know that Nweri's got that, but much, much more in his locker. People are not going to find it easy to stop this kid. Full of confidence, swagger, self-belief, and he knows what he can do, and he's just fearless. I love the way that he's utterly fearless, and I knew as soon as he had that, and if he's going to have a shot, we've got a great chance of a spectacular goal. He does it. What's he doing? Every competition he's been entering, bang, he's getting the goals in, he's getting the numbers, and he's only like 5 years old. He's fantastic. I love him.
Yeah, and Mike, what about yourself on obviously this Nwaneri goal first? There's obviously another one which is arguably better than this one coming up later. But just on the Girona goal first and foremost. What were your thoughts behind it?
Yes, it's quickly becoming his trademark, isn't it? Just him dipping inside like that, and as Neil said, it's just great to have someone like that in the team who has that kind of weapon, because we know so many of them are reluctant to shoot, aren't we? And that's one thing we're crying out for. you know, he'll get a reputation for it, and but I'm sure that he'll deal with it, and same like with Saka. You know, Saka does that a lot as well, cutting inside on the left and bending it in. So, but no, brilliant goal for him, and again, obviously he's setting all these different kinds of records, isn't he? You know, scoring all these goals and stuff in different competitions. But yeah, brilliant for him, and just another step, you know, on his way to greatness, man. Because this kid's he's got it in abundance. I mean, we're just seeing the embryonic stage of his career. That's a scary thing. You know, this is, you know, he's not even got, you know, what, into 20 appearances or whatever yet. You know, I think he's just gone over double figures or something, I think. So it's crazy. But no, amazing goal, tremendous goal for him. And I think someone said, I don't know if it was you, James, or someone said in the WhatsApp group, if you see that goal, the reaction of the players, it was like, oh, all right, he does this all the time in training. You know, they just walked over to him, gave him a high five, gave him a hug. It weren't like that or anything like, oh, he's you know, it was like, oh, all right, this kid keeps doing it. It was so nonchalant the way that they sort of went up to him, and a little bit.
They're probably just grateful that it weren't them that got skinned. Yeah, they're probably grateful it wasn't them that got skinned that time. It was someone else. Yeah.
But amazing goal.
Yeah, and obviously second half, Trossard he hit the bar. Nwaneri he hit a volley that was just a little bit wide, and then the other chance was Raheem Sterling with a tepid shot. And we had two other deflected chances as well. Stuani, he thought he scored for Girona, but he was offside. And Arsenal then got the penalty, and the Arsenal charity club come along and gave the ball to Raheem Sterling. I know why we've done it, but you know, if we'd have scored the third, I think we would have been higher up in the table on the goal difference. And obviously I knew he was going to miss before he even took it. I remember putting it in the chat. I was like, he's going to miss. And yeah, he did. He did miss his penalty, Sterling. And
if Kai playing, and if he had taken it, was there some kind of record to have got?
Yeah, he was on. Yeah, he was on the pitch.
So
if you remember, we got quite angry because he brought all the experienced players on when he had all the youngsters on the bet, and it was again like we were with PSV, where it was like, oh, we've won this, Mikel. Like, put the kids on.
Yeah.
Just put the bloody kids on, mate. Like, I know it's only two. I'm like, we're sort of comfortable here. Play the kids.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. But Sterling obviously missed, and it just goes to show that the two loanees at the moment are just they're really showing up for what was now. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but even me at the time was just like, I've got serious reservations about the summer that we've just had. The two loanees obviously did not cover themselves in glory, but for that game, obviously Ethan Nwaneri was man of the match for me for that one. Have you guys got anyone different that stood out for you on that one, or
no,
not at all. No. Ethan, without doubt.
Fair enough. And then rolling into the Manchester City game, a bit more positive. Arsenal obviously back to the normal lineup, like you said. Neil Raya was fully fit. We had Timber, Lewis Skelly, Partey all back in there. Rice, Martinelli, and Havertz all returning. Arsenal score early. We catch Manchester City on the press. They're trying to play out, and it goes to Havertz. Odegaard, he takes the goal well. It's I think Sky obviously brought it up, but I think it's really, really underrated what Declan Rice does into Havertz. Just that quick leg that he sticks out to get the ball into him. And then it's not the best of balls into Odegaard, but he manages to control it and tuck it in, Mike. And I know we've done your podcast after it, so we're probably going to repeat ourselves again for the second time. But and I know, Neil, you've probably talked about this game to death as well the last couple of days. But obviously Anthony in the group chat said about we scored too early. I somewhat agreed with him per se, but what were you feeling when we went 1-0? Obviously elated, but then was there a part of you that did think, oh, have we got ahead too quickly here?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it kind of went back to last season, second half of last season, and the season before, where we scored early. You know, in these big games, didn't we? We did. I remember we did that against Liverpool once. Scored really early. But then we had those other opportunities, didn't we? You know, Havertz missed that, practically open goal. There was another incident where Ortega messed up as well. So we had our opportunities to get another goal, but then it was almost like, I think it might have been when Havertz missed that chance. That's when everybody sort of think, oh shit, we better just, fall back a bit and let's just let them sort of come onto us. And yeah, I think that's when we sort of just let them come onto us. And then obviously you invite a team like City, they're going to pull you apart and they're going to have opportunities. And obviously they had that one from the corner which Raya saved. But yeah, I tend to agree. I thought after that Havertz miss, I think that sort of knocked the guys a little bit, and they sort of went into preservation mode, and they kind of went, oh well, let's not give anything. I don't know why, but they should have just went forward, and I think we would have hurt them even more. But yeah, I kind of agree with what Anthony was saying.
Yeah, and Neil, Mike makes a great point there. Obviously, the Havertz chance come after, but you mentioned it beforehand. Obviously, David Raya with a great save from Vardiol from the corner, and I thought it was just as good as the save. I thought what Saliba did there with Haaland as well, like you mentioned on one of the other pods as well, where he just puts himself like, get away from the ball, like, done, you're not coming in here, because that's a bread and butter Haaland like header. If Saliba doesn't put himself in front of it, isn't it? That's the sort of, we saw it second half. That's the sort of thing that Haaland thrives on, especially in a game like this where he literally did nothing other than score his header.
That's right, absolutely. I mean, I've already said it. There's no skill in that guy anyway. He's just a goal hanging, gets lucky. He's a good finisher. He can put the ball in the net. I'll give him that. But that's about it. He's not a complete footballer as far as I'm concerned. He never will be. He's just been programmed from the where it's Cyberdyne. What's it called? Skynet.
Skynet, yeah.
And it's just been programmed to score goals, and that's it. They've said no personality. You can't do anything else. You can run a bit and you can score a goal, and that's it. Done. That's his directive. That's his prime directive, and that's all he will ever be. So when people try and talk about some of the best strikers the Prem has ever seen, and they even come close to mentioning his name with the great King, I'm quite offended by that. But anyway, I don't know why I'm digressing and talking about him. So yeah, I mean, the thing is with Raya, we sometimes forget, especially in a high-scoring game when there've been plenty of goals and we've literally torn the team apart. I think we sometimes forget those key moments, those little bits where things could have gone so differently if it hadn't been for maybe one piece of defensive brilliance or a goalkeeping brilliance in this case. I think Raya, this was why it was so important that thank goodness he was able to make his appearance and we not have Neto. I'm not here. I don't want to sit here destroying Neto because obviously there might be nerves as well with him because it was his first real proper appearance for us, and it was a Champions League game. For him it's a big thing. But at the same time, we can't afford any of that at the moment, and we're thin as it is with the squad, and I'm so pleased that Raya was there. And I think that for me, those two saves was the turning point of the game. There were maybe a couple, but they were significant for me because it would have been so different if they'd scored from those. It would have been so different. It would have got our heads down. I think it would have been a different game. But by doing that, he instilled so much confidence in the defence and the defensive midfielders. And bang, there we go. We are off and away to heaven.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a great point there, obviously, with Neto as well. I can't remember the other guy's name. I feel really bad. I should really know that. But yeah, he was tied for the oldest ever debutant for Arsenal. I think it was someone even like 30s or something, like pre-war, Second World War, definitely. I can't remember the player's name, but yeah, I saw that he was tied with the second oldest Arsenal debutant of all time. But yeah, obviously, going into that second half, Haaland does what he does. And the negativity starts to seep in a little bit from my end. I get a bit wound up and go, God, they were there, and if you just turned it up and put your tempo going, you would have had them, Arsenal. And straight away, Thomas Partey deflected off John Stones into the back of the net. Yeah. Mike, we brought it up on your show. I'll bring it up with you again here. The way they were trying to save Foden basically from making a mistake. Oh, the ref's got in his way. They couldn't say that Foden made a bad pass. They had everything in their arsenal, pardon the pun, to be like, the ref's blocked him there. No, he's made a shit pass. He's made a shit pass. Yeah. I can't obviously you can't say he's made a shit pass, but yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, I think it was a great assist from Foden, to be honest. I think that's the only thing he did all game. I think he didn't do anything in the other end. I mean, I know he got the pre-assist for their goal. I mean, yeah, you've got to tip your hat. Their goal was very well worked. I think the touch from Savinho before he crossed it into Haaland was unbelievable touch, and then the cross, and then obviously great finish from him. But it kind of boils down to the fact that if you shoot, you've got a chance, and people were saying shoot, and we all know Partey. He's got one or two of them in his locker a season, and then the rest of them we know they hit the stanchion. So they hit Rose Ed and clear the stadium and stuff. But we know he's always got one or two in his locker, and that's what we just were saying. Just be a bit unpredictable. Just try and keep them guessing. If they're backing off you, have a shot. Rather than go around and do this, side to side stuff. But it was massive that we got it. Was it 30 odd seconds after their goal? I think it was. That was huge, because then that just took. We say that we kind of gave them the initiative in the first half, but they still had to work so hard to break us down. And then when they're thinking, oh yeah, we're back in it now. We had to put such an effort in to get to craft the goal like we did. And then straight away we score it, and then that just wins that. So I think, Christ, we've done all that work to get level, and we've given it away. So, huge goal, massive goal. We did, and it capped, a brilliant performance from Partey as well. I thought he was absolutely superb. But yeah, massive moment that was, and obviously that led up to another even bigger moment, which I won't steal your thunder.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Obviously, Declan Rice sets up what was probably a lot of our favourite moment of the game. Might not be the favourite goal of the game, but definitely the favourite moment of the game. And Lewis Skelly just showing the older players what they need to do. Just take it in your stride, get in that box, have a shot, see what happens. And the goalkeeper should do better. I've watched it back a few times. I'm like, actually, he's been awful there. But what a brilliant goal, and what a brilliant moment for this young man. And obviously, you get this moment coming up here where he hits the Haaland celebration. And I just want to quickly, now, I can't take credit for this for myself. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I saw it on Instagram. I'm trying to remember the name of the account so I can credit them, because I don't want to take anything away from them, because Versus, that's it. It was called the account, or I think there's some kind of like football and social media account called Versus. So I'm just going to read this quick here, and then I'll go to you first, Neil, and then Michael after. And they've basically said here, we need to protect Miles Lewis Skelly at all costs. Mainstream British media have found their new target and are already taking aim. Instead of hailing up this 18-year-old's impressive breakout season so far, his celebration in response to Erling Haaland has become a point of contention. The reaction this has caused shows this runs deeper than light-hearted cheekiness. In a recent TalkSport show, Jason Cundy insinuated that Jason Cundy insinuated that Miles Lewis Skelly could have his legs broken like Erling Haaland's dad did. What is branded as shithousery for one is seen as arrogant for another. National media outlets have a huge influence on how players can be perceived, and the talk around Miles Lewis Skelly's name is entering dangerous territory. The sight of young, confident and charismatic black men thriving on the biggest stage is something that doesn't fit into the mould of what they envision. Sadly, this is nothing new. Like many who have come before Miles Lewis Skelly, young and confident black men are initially praised only to then be ripped apart. You've seen this with Paul Pogba. You've witnessed this just recently at the Euros with Jude Bellingham. We're currently watching Rashford's name be dragged through the mud in an attempt to soil the legacy that Marcus Rashford built, and many people in England have issues with confident black men in all spaces. The second you become bigger than you initially were, you become threatening and must be minimised. It's an active dimming of their light, but real stars will always shine bright in the midst of the darkness. The undertones in their messages will not outweigh their achievements. Miles Lewis Skelly is just getting started, and those who support him must remain as loud as his detractors are. The story of our future greats must be told correctly by those who generally care for them. I thought that was brilliant. I mean, most of that was how I couldn't have put it as eloquently as this account did. But yeah, and I know I'm taking this from a position of white man. I'm seeing it for what it really is, and it's disgusting. It's, you know, I've got you two on tonight, both of you been Arsenal fans longer than I have. No, you can talk about the game better, you know, better than me, describe this. But every week we're either talking about shit officials, we're talking about how money that seeped into the league, you know, how are these clubs allowed to spend this, how are the clubs allowed to spend, or we're talking about race.
Yeah,
we're in 2025.
Yeah, it's sorry, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
let you two touch.
I'm going to let you take more of the platform on this one, Michael. But I just want to say that, firstly, it's just really sad because it's souring. Number one, for the players individually, it's so disgusting, and it's especially when they're so young. You've got to think about what kind of effect it might have on them, and you know, we're all human beings, and I don't get it. I don't understand. As you said, 2025, and we're still going down this road. I'll be honest with you, James. As negative as it sounds, 2075, the story might have changed. I don't think so anyway. Because if it was to have changed, it would have changed by now. Surely, it's always going to be the same narrative. And I feel so sorry for not just the youngsters who are trying to accomplish something, who have got raw talent and skill, and are doing really well. They're not getting any protection. We've seen it with Saka. We saw how he was destroyed after the Euros, but he was so strong to come back from that. But even on the playing field, we've always been shouting about how he never gets any protection from the refs. But certain other England darlings always did and do, right? It's not Saka. When you think that he is probably, I would say, our best England player. But yet he doesn't get any protection. But they're absolutely fine with that. Let him fall apart. Who cares? Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to be the same. So is Ethan. They're both going to be the same. So the same thing's going to happen to them. And I'm not just talking about Arsenal. It's other players, as you rightly mentioned there, James. I also feel for the families. You've seen Skelly's mum, so proud of her boy. Utterly proud, but so humble she is. She's so humble and down to earth. She's just so proud of seeing her boy. That time when we got that you got that video that was out playing around yesterday or the day before, and then you got the one. Remember when she was in the stands and she was going, "That's my boy. That's my boy." No, I feel like
have you seen the picture? Sorry, have you seen the picture of her and his dad looking at the screen when he scored? Obviously, they're watching the replays back of his goal. Yeah, they're just beaming at the big screen.
Okay, so, and that's what.
Yeah, but I'm like, why are you as the media not sharing this?
Exactly, you've
put
got
that out.
You've got that. That's number one, but also you can see that how happy they are, how proud. But no, they want to take that moment away, not just from the boy, not just from the club, not just from the supporters, but also from the parents or the people that love the kid, who are close to him, family and friends wise. And what kind of damage does that do? Not just to him, but to everyone else around him. I'm so sick to death. You're so right. When was the last time we just talked about a clean game? No refereeing bias, or no, because we've won well. They're always out to get us for some reason or the other. If there's nothing to talk about on an officiating level, then there'll be something to talk about on our celebrations. And now they're even looking at curtailing that as well. But it's okay when every other team has done it. Every other team has done it. Every other team does all this kind of theatrics. You know, it's okay for Haaland to grab a ball and smash it on the back of Gabriel's head. It's okay for him to say to Lewis Skelly, "Who the F are you?" It's okay for him to be disrespectful to the opposition manager. That's all okay, right? But Miles Lewis Skelly does something, and oh my God, the world has come to an end. I'm sick to death of it. And there is only one reason that I can see, and it's plain, pure and simple. And I think we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And Mike, just quick, I know you want to come in as well. Like Neil said there, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's Tony something, who is at the Premier League, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're going to be monitoring the celebrations now."
Tony Scholes.
I knew you'd know the name yet. And like we were saying in the WhatsApp chat, and I'll bring it up on here as well. The two main things that have brought this on are obviously Miles Lewis Skelly's celebration, and apparently the celebration of, I think it's Ibrahim and Dye for Everton, where he did the bird to or the seagull or whatever to Brighton, and yet that's what's really that's upset and antagonising. Yet these same people that are pumping this narrative, like Sky, like you sent it. We can all. I can search on YouTube now and see it. Jamie Vardy's best goal celebrations, where it's Jamie Vardy in front of the same fans doing a bird. So I'm like, well, you're not even subtle then, because you're just blatantly obvious being, oh, it's all right for the white Englishman Vardy to do it, but yet when the young black guy does the same exact thing, that's wrong. That's got to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you caught the article there. Sorry, the tweet from the Versus, was a great. I saw that, and absolutely spot on with what they said. And the good thing about this, if there is a good thing about this, is that so many people have called it out. For what Cundy said. They called it out for what it is. It's because he's a confident young black kid. You got to realise that a lot of these old professionals, a lot of these people that have retired, are in punditry. They were when it came to football teams. A lot of them were in the majority. In terms of a lot more white players then, and the black player was just really the luxury player, the person that who could, like for example, Liverpool with John Barnes. We look at what he had to deal with, but he was like the anomaly in that team. He was the only black player in that team, and it was like everyone else. Well, we'll do all the hard work, but then we'll give it to Barnes. He'll do a little bit of skill. And there was always, across when I was watching growing up, there was always just the one player, that kind of black player, that was there just to do that job. Keep quiet, do your job, get on with it. Let the other guys get all the limelight, and you just keep plugging away. And as long as you don't make too much noise, you're all right. The only club that was different, where there was more than one or two black players, was Arsenal. And obviously, going back from then, we've had problems with it. We've had problems with the way they dealt with Paul Davis when he was getting racially abused and he smacked Glenn Cockerill. No one wants to say the reason why he smacked him, but he got done for 7 games. He couldn't play for England anymore. It is what it is. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've experienced it. When I've worked for a newspaper, I didn't get accreditation for a particular club who's playing tonight, for example, and they're in North London. They wouldn't give me accreditation because the company I worked for was a company called Caribbean Times. So they didn't want to give accreditation to a company. Well, we know the reason why. And there was another club in North London that whenever I put in accreditation, guess what? I got it. Guess what club that is? It's obviously Arsenal Football Club. So, I could go on and on about it, but the fact of the matter is, like you said before, everyone kind of sees it for what it is. When that Andy Dunn wrote the article about Miles being a villain, saying he's a villain of the piece. He knows what he's doing with that. And I think what it is, we're living in kind of scary times where an idiot across the pond has emboldened a lot of people with some of his rhetoric. You've only seen what he had to say about the plane crash, and it was down to the diversity, because that was the reason why there was a plane crash. And then you've got another idiot who is doing Nazi salutes, and we're getting told, oh, it's not a Nazi salute. So when he was just doing something else. So when you're getting it, that people being that in your face, and then you're getting told, you're getting gaslit and saying, no, that's not it. You get other idiots who feel that they can, I can do something subliminally now. I can say certain things that, that some other idiots and trolls are going to pick up and support. And we're getting to a kind of dangerous place, but it was great to see so many people from all walks of life on Twitter and X and whatever, from opposition fans as well, calling it out for what it is and saying that it is just an attack on a young black kid. And they provided receipts and examples of Jack Grealish doing what he does, Jamie Vardy doing what he does, and everything. And all the people that they have issues with are of my complexion. So man, it gets your blood going a bit, man. But we're on the right side of history. So and they're the ones with the problems, not us. So we just got to back him, and and call it out for what it is when when it comes up, and just clown these people. That's all we have to do.
Yeah, and it's the flip flopping, as I like to call it, because after the game, you've got Jamie Carragher sat there, and he's talking about how I've not seen a young player have this much confidence since Wayne. He's literally comparing Miles Lewis-Skelly to Wayne Rooney, saying about like, wow, what a player, what nice goal, and to have the brass to do something like that. And then he's on the overlap this week. I didn't like it. And it's like 3 days ago. I'm like, do you not think that we've seen you 3 days ago? This is the thing. I'm like, are you that dense that you? They think like the old Men in Black, with the pen, and it goes, and we just forget everything. I'm like, no, but we, especially Arsenal fans, that we remember everything most of the time. Like, we don't forget fuck all in the nicest possible way. And it's just like, mate, who are you to change it? I'm like, coming out here because you sat with Paul Scholes and not Thierry Henry, because you can't bum lick Thierry Henry. You're going to bum lick Paul Scholes.
He plays to the audience. He's not he's clever in that way. And I mean, he'll obviously bump into Henry again and Michael Richards, and when they do the CBS stuff, and you kind of hope that they would say something to him, but he knows, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, all the pundits that are there now, like in the mainstream, Henry, Theo Walcott, Troy Deeney, all talking about how much they loved it, like most real, what I'd say, fans would, and yet all the ones that didn't. But I'm like, so the 3 mainstream pundits that did back it, what have they all got in common with Miles Lewis-Skelly than the ones that said they didn't like it? I'm like, and that's where it's just like, it's not, for me, it's not even subtle anymore. And that's where I'm just, like you said, Mike, I'm like, I think too many people have got too comfortable making this an environment, this environment and this stuff stick. And I think it's about time, not just Arsenal fans, but football fans in general, stick 2 fingers up at it. And this is why these newspapers and stuff are dying. Okay, we've given it about 10 or 15 minutes on here, but this is why stuff like the YouTube channels and the fan media is going up, and them lot are all coming down. And that's why that they're inviting people into these spaces. And I fucking pray that eventually one of us gets invited into one of these spaces, because one of us lot will call it out there and then. I'm like, if it ruins the whole shoot and you have to kick me out or whatever, kick me out, because I'm not having it. I'm not taking. I know you lot won't if we're ever lucky to, but I'm certain I'm not having that shit in front of me anymore.
And like and obviously this is about Miles, but even if you look back to earlier this season, with the way that they all kind of jumped on Vinicius Junior when he didn't get the Ballon d'Or and everything, and the way there was that lady, what's her name, Rebecca Lowe, and Gary Neville, they were doing a podcast, and she was so visibly angry. She was literally on the verge of calling him, I swear that she was literally on the verge of calling him the N-word. The way that she was talking about him, how he's so arrogant, he's so this and that. All the tropes were coming out. All the stuff was coming out because who do you think he is? Because he's black, he should get it or whatever. But it was horrible. And Gary Neville was there just nodding away and accepting it. And and again, that's a Brazilian, and because he's darker than the normal, ones that we see, Brazilians, they just went to town on him. And man, it's just there. When you see it, it's there. They can't help themselves. Souness has been doing it for years. People have said, oh, him and Pogba, we know why he kept on going on about Pogba. We know what he was about, because he was jealous of this guy getting all this money and everything and stuff, and people trying to say, oh, it's because of this. No, we know what it's about. You've got the old, Alan McAnally rolling him out, and him and Sam Allardyce talking about Miles. Why do we want to hear from them for? Because we know exactly what they're going to say, and they're exactly the type. They're the old school. They were in the majority in the dressing room. Probably didn't have a single black player in a lot of the dressing rooms that they played in. Do you know what I mean? So it's there. It's all there.
Which World Cup was it where that lovely guy, was it Ron Atkinson? And he didn't realise it was still recording, and he made that comment as it went.
That was It was the
decide.
UEFA. Yeah, it was the UEFA final about
Remember that?
Marcel Desailly.
Yeah.
Can I say something of that kind of ilk or that kind of era of character hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Changed. It's
Yeah.
still the same. He got caught out.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's many others like that at the moment, currently like that. And I know that's a really
100%.
harsh thing to say, and it is. It's without evidence from me, and that's not. It could be construed as slander, but I'm sorry, I just speak my mind because I know it exists from first-hand experience. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, just getting back onto the game away from that situation, and Thomas Partey, obviously, he sets Gabriel Martinelli free, who plays in Kai Havertz. And I know I come to you a lot, Neil, about Kai Havertz because he's such a polarising figure. But this, to me, just sums him up. He misses the simple. I mean, the chance earlier in the game, we've spoken about it. The whole left-hand side of the goal is free. I'm going to shoot to the right-hand side. I'm going to go for the more difficult option. And this goal that he scores here, I'm baffled. I'm like, how have you scored this? I mean, Giroud, obviously, much better at it. But Giroud, sometimes, I'd be like, you've missed, what I call the goal. Stephen Hawking scores them in the power surge type of goals. That's what I call them. But he'll score a scorpion kick, or he'll like chest it, flick it up, overhead kick into the back of the net. And I'm like, why can't you score tap-ins? Yet the things that are more difficult. I find him so baffling, but that's why he's so polar. I mean, he's a polarizing character, Havertz. Love him or hate him, you're always talking about him, whether good or bad.
He frustrates me at times. I'm not going to say that he doesn't. You've probably seen it on the WhatsApp. What's he doing? Why has he done that for? Why has he been so slow there? I'll say it. I'm not going to not say it. But on the whole, for me, I do love him. I do, because I think there's so much to his game that he does. Again, what I was saying earlier, that sometimes things are missed because they're not really the kind of stuff that is attractive in football, if that makes sense. And there's a lot of stuff that he does which you can easily miss. And I think there's a lot of hard work and whatnot. But if I look at it from a different angle and come from it from a different perspective, he is, for all intents and purposes, a striker. And a striker's job is to put the ball in the net. So I understand the criticism as well. I'm not going to sit here and say what you're talking about is brilliant and we can never get rid of him and we've got to keep it. It's not that. I'm just saying there is a lot to his game that goes unnoticed, which he's very good at. I actually love Giroud as well for the same reasons. And I was gutted when he went, absolutely gutted. And I think
he's one of the most underappreciated Arsenal players ever, Neil.
Ever.
Watching it back, he's definitely up there. I still say Gilberto's number one, but he's definitely up there for me.
100% agree with you. He never scored. He scored super goals. Every goal that he scored was something spectacular. And I'm not just saying that's why I liked him. There was a lot to his game that I really appreciated, but other people didn't. And fair play, we all read the game and see it differently. But I like Kai Havertz for a lot of reasons. And it is frustrating where you've got a simple, or what is a relatively, for someone of his caliber, to put the ball in. Bit like Odegaard's missed the other day. Quite fairly simple, but you can't understand what's happening there. But yet you'll go and score one of the most hardest goals that you could score, especially in that game, in the contest of who we were playing. I know we were 3-1 up, so the pressure's a little bit off. But still, this is Manchester City, 4 times in a row, Premier League winners, treble winners, and you've just gone and ripped them apart with a spectacular piece of football. But you couldn't just literally pass the ball into the net. So yeah, it's frustrating. But you know what? I was so pleased for him. I really was pleased for him because at least he mitigated that error or the couple of chances he missed in the earlier stages of the match. And I think he redeemed himself because that was one hell of a goal. Because it was a tight angle and he had 2 defenders on him. Yeah. Brilliant play.
Yeah, Mike, yourself.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. I mean, again, we all know he's not the number 9 that we want or should be leading the line. Obviously after that purple patch last year, but and it's not his fault really because we know whose fault it is. Arteta's fault. He should be playing him in a different position. I mean, sometimes I think he scored that goal coming in on going down the right hand side, didn't he? And then coming in on his left, and We know Saka does that. We know Ranieri does that now. So maybe even just on certain occasions, maybe if we do get the 9, he's an option, a rotation option out there. But he causes so much chaos in terms of his running and closing down. He might be a good someone to put in the 10, just put behind another striker up there as well. So there's options there. But yeah, he's had some big misses this last month, I should say, as well. Obviously against Newcastle in the first leg, but yeah, he's a winning trier. But I just think he's been left out to dry because of how Arteta's managed things, obviously, which we'll probably go into in terms of how he's built the squad. But no, it's a great finish for him, and especially after the miss in the first half, it was great that he tucked it away, and yeah, he's still our top scorer. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few more, and after when we come back after the break, history repeats itself, hopefully, and because it's just going to be him, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what else we're going to do, really.
I fear, Michael, that he's going down Saka's line, that Saka was so overplayed and overused. This is going to happen to Kai Havertz as well. Because, I was scared a little bit. I'm sorry, James, I'm going backwards and forwards here. I do apologise. But just very quickly, there was a moment yesterday where I thought Martinelli was done. And we're already so thin with forwards. Can you imagine if he starts something really? I think he's already fatigued. To be fair,
yeah. I
think you guys have all mentioned it, so I'm not taking the credit for that. You guys have all said that he looks tired. He's been overplayed, whatnot. We've got no one. We've got literally no one left. What were they thinking in this January summer transfer window? What were they thinking? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, just to wrap this up quickly for the City game, and then we'll touch on everything else as well. Right, Declan Rice. I mean, it's a lovely move, but Declan Rice pings one to Ethan Nwaneri, who then pings it into the net. Sorry, Mike. I know normally I will come to you, but Neil, it's Nwaneri again, so it has to go to you first.
No, Michael, take it.
Michael. Like you said earlier, trademark, isn't it? I mean, you got so many people, the rival sort of the bait fans that are like, oh, he's only got one trick. He said, right, it's bloody good though, isn't it? It's bloody good though.
Yeah.
If I go watch David Blaine and he does one thing amazing, and I go see him again and he does it again, I'm not going to whinge.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of going into another conversation about the current state of football fandom at the moment. That you're not allowed to celebrate a win because you haven't won any trophies. You can't celebrate a goal because it won't mean anything anyway in the long run. You can't celebrate this.
Well, them lot yesterday, they've not won anything since 1955. You couldn't shut them up.
Yeah, and it's just so tiring now. It's like you just have people coming out, popping out. Oh, why are you celebrating that for? Oh, they've got this extended cut of it. Why have they done that for? Tottenham didn't do that when they beat us, and lo and behold, yeah, they did actually. They did have something on their Twitter where they had additional behind the scenes. Every team does it. Every team does it when they get a big win or a decent win away from home. For their content, they do that. So again, this whole when everything, them just downplaying it. Oh, he's only got one trick. It's like, seriously, you can't appreciate, a 17-year-old kid coming into, a team, and not just a mid-table team, a team going for the title, scoring a goal like that against the champions of England, putting the seal on the win. It's just, it's outstanding from Nwaneri, but it's just so frustrating as well. So tiring. I think, probably speak for all of us, it's so tiring when you see stuff like that come up on the feed. It's like, really, is that what football supporting is like now? I think it's down to social media as well, again, because you wouldn't hear this stuff if we, in your normal circles. You might hear something at work when you're at work and with you've got opposing fans, but it's just so tiring. But he's ours. He's going to get better. We've got Miles Lewis Kelly's going to get better. Max Dowman is just going to take over the whole world with his ability next season when he starts playing. We've got another striker that's coming through. I forgot his name, but he's got a double-barrel name. It's the future's red and white, mate. And Nwaneri, again, like you said, like you guys said, is fortunately when they get into the England team, they're going to get the same treatment. But as long as they're wearing the red and white every other week, that's all that matters. But yeah, fantastic goal, James. And the only silver lining, obviously, we'll talk about Newcastle game. The only silver lining you could probably say is, I think you mentioned it in the chat, that he'll get to more minutes now. He'll be playing on that right hand side. There's no other option. I don't want to see anything else other than Ranieri starting against Leicester away from home when we resume the league next in 10 days.
He's undeniable now. He has to play him. I know, there could be stuff about work rate and everything else, but I mean, jumping the gun to yesterday, I didn't think that there was anything noticeable from when Martinelli went off to when he went off in terms of defensive aspect. Attacking wise, it stepped up because obviously he's a left footer. So that makes it more, the team are used to a left footer playing on that right hand side. Yeah. But there weren't he weren't shirking from a battle against anybody. I know Martinelli's very good at tracking back and defending, but I didn't see I didn't see Nwaneri slacking off in that aspect at all. No. If anything, he worked harder.
They were triple marking him. They were triple marking him at some points. They were, Gordon came back. It was, they had what's his name, Lewis, all that there. And there was the midfielder was coming over. Grimera, they were all covering him because they knew what he was going to be able to do. So he's already got people on the back foot, and thinking, oh Christ, this kid, he's dangerous because his ball carrying speed is unreal. It's like the ball doesn't move away from his feet, and he does it so quickly. So, but he's got to start. He's got to start. Play these remaining games because he's got the minerals, he's got the bottle to do it, and he does the work, like you said, James. He does put tackles. I'm sure you look up his stats on Sofa Score, whatever. He's won his duels or whatever as well. He's got his tackles in, so no problem.
Yeah, and just quickly to finish off that Man City game, man of the match, I gave it to Miles Lewis-Skelly just purely on the celebration because I loved it. I loved it that much. I loved it that much. I mean, I said about, pictures in Arsenal history and folklore and what have you. And Mike, you've got a few behind you. I know, Neil, you've probably got some dashed around the house like me somewhere, posters or what have you. And that to me is just an iconic, for this Emirates era, that's an iconic picture for me. And I think it's like we've spoken about, we won't go back into it, but I think people have just done a complete 180 to try and poo-poo on what was a great moment, not just for this lad, for his family and for this football club. Yeah, because a lot of it as well is that, as much as people are insufferable about Arsenal are insufferable. Yeah. I've had more arguments yesterday with people who support my own team than I have with people who don't, because they're being insufferable. I'm like, how are you thinking this way about certain things?
Can I just say something?
Because you can do whatever you want, man. Yeah, go for it.
It just incenses me about the celebration. I mean, at the end of the day, not many teams. Just got on the back of this. Not many teams can do what we did to Manchester City. Not many. Even Manchester City may not be at their absolute prime as they may have been, the last 2-3 years, but still, they're still Man City. They've still got a very good team, very good squad, and they've got arguably one of the most successful, if not the most successful manager in the Premiership at the moment, considering what he's done in terms of records and whatnot. Not the Invincibles though. But a team, we do this. We tear them apart. We take them apart, and we're not allowed to celebrate. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm a very passionate person. Even if I'm playing tiddlywinks and I win, I'll go flipping mental, right? It's human nature to celebrate. And if people are saying, well, you can't celebrate because it's not really going to mean anything, and you're not won anything, you're not going to win anything anyway. No, you're missing the whole point. The point is you're celebrating that moment. If you're not, as a human being, allowed to celebrate that moment, then why the hell, you answer me, why the hell do you celebrate your birthday every year? Why do you celebrate this every year? Why do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Why? What is the point of celebrating if you can't celebrate those moments that bring you a bit of happiness and a bit of elation from this shit world that we live in? So it makes me sick that people are saying that, you shouldn't be doing this, and it's disrespectful to Man City. What? How can it be disrespectful to Man City? What kind of nonsense are you coming out with?
125 charges against them. I think if anyone's been disrespectful,
they
disrespected the game
of corruption, and we're the ones that have been disrespected because we've just beaten them 5-1, fair and square. With fair and square, maybe there was still some refereeing stuff that we've chosen to ignore because the football was just so damn good from us.
Yeah, Bernardo
But
Silva kicking
exactly.
Trossard.
Yeah, but we won't mention those leg breaker moments, shall we? Yeah, again, officiating, doing nothing about it, right? But they're more upset about us being disrespectful. But it's okay for every other team, every other fan base, every other pundit to rip us to shreds day in, day out. I'm sick of it. Sorry to say that.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
the context has been completely lost in all these other people getting involved, because it all started from Haaland running his mouth, and then it was like, right, have that back. And this is the thing is that I'm like, and again, this goes for the modern world. There's a lot of people that think that you can run your mouth and do these things without consequence. And I'm sorry, life doesn't work like that. I've got a fucking humongous mouth. And I know I've been bit on the arse many, many a time. And I probably will again. But that's sometimes you just got to, I've got to just lick my chop. I mean, him pointing to the gold badge at the end and everything, that's him. That's a bit of copium, but that is a bit of a, I'm the champion, you're not. So fair play. He gave a little bit back as well. But it'll all come round. You'll have, you have your day, I'll have mine.
Yeah.
And that's life. And after the game away, they were all stood there going, oh, little bit of needle, this 2-2. What a great game. What a great rivalry. Now it's disgusting and it's horrible. And I'm like, this Liverpool and City rivalry that they wanted to peddle, you won 1 title. They won 5. They were in that whole 6-year spell that you had your rivalry. At least between Arsenal and United, which was the rivalry, they won it 1 year. We won it the next one. This one. It varied. Yeah. I'm like, and if it wasn't, and it wasn't just the league, it was the FA Cup as well. It was more things were at play.
Yeah, in the 7, what was it? In the key 7 years of that rivalry, we won 3 titles and they won 4. I think, was it, or 4 or 5? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's a rivalry because you kind of knew it was either us or them. But it's like you're saying, it's like,
and they were talking about how Guardiola and Klopp and the respect they had for each other. I went, Guardiola respected him because he didn't see him as a threat. Because he kept when he was going, those 90 points, they worked so hard, but I still won at the end. I'm like, they're backhanded compliments. At least Ferguson and Wenger hated each other. I remember Arsene Wenger. I never used to think Arsene Wenger was mean, but I remember one specific post-game, and he said, we all think we've got the best looking wife at home, don't we? And I was just like, that's the only time. That's the only time I've seen Wenger be like, have some of that back, Fergie. Have some of that back. I was like, that's nasty from you. I was like, that's a bit sly from you, Wenger. I loved it, and I was only 13, 14, but I was like, that's the only time I'm like, you've had that in the chamber. I'm like, how long have you locked that away and thought, I'm going to drop this one today? And I loved it at the time, but it was the only time I was like, that's mean. That's mean from Arsene.
I think I can't remember who he said it about. I think it probably was Mourinho, or it might have been Ferguson. But I remember he also said, "What do you?" I think someone said something to him about mind games, and he said, "What do you think about all the mind games that are going on?" And he said, "It's difficult to play mind games with an unarmed man." I was like, "Oh my!"
That's Jose. That sounds like Jose.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
He was class, wasn't he? He was just, he is class. Even now, when you listen to him, he's just such an amazing human being. Yeah. He's brilliant. And I'm not just saying that because he was our manager. He just is. And I think a lot of our non-Arsenal fans are now starting to see that this guy is just brilliant. Just class, very intelligent, and he knows how to, as you've just both of you alluded to, he knows how to throw a line, and it's just so effective. Pinpoint, that's it, done, finished. Drop the mic.
Yep, and just quickly before we obviously drop the mics here, we've got to talk about it. I'm sorry, we got to. The Newcastle game. Obviously, we go full strength, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. I probably would have swapped it. Looking in hindsight, I would have swapped it because clearly there was a lot of them that there was a lot of energy that was expended in that game on Sunday. Yeah. And so many of them were just not at the races. And I mean, within minutes, we completely capitulate. Thomas Partey, absolutely done by a flick from Bruno. And then Tonali just runs straight past him. And again, I'm gonna shout it out. I was on the Highbury squad at the weekend, and I said about not renewing Thomas Partey, and half the chat went for me. They went for my jugular, going at me. This is the reason why he's not being renewed, lads. His legs are shot. His legs are shot. He's having a brilliant season, fantastic season. But then again, Granit Xhaka, in his last year at Arsenal, had the best year he ever had as an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
Guess what happened? We still got rid of him at the end.
Yeah.
So why is it with Thomas Partey you can't, but with Granit Xhaka we could? When Granit Xhaka arguably did a bit more because he got more goals and assists than Partey's going to get this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what? You can't have it both ways. But yeah, Isaac gets it and spumps it into the net. Luckily, I mean, what was it? A pube or a toenail? I think he was offside in the end. How they judged it. I was looking at it and going, it's off but I don't know how. I'm like, you know, this new infrared or something they've said. Yeah, you know, I know a Manscaped sponsor a lot of things, but clearly Isaac hasn't got one. He was, you know, he's just a hair breadth too long or whatever. Or he didn't, you know, he didn't do his toenails. And then, like we said, Arsenal. I'm sorry, I broke you. Apologies, Neil. Sorry. I'll go to Mike. I'll let you have a second.
It's the thought of a toenail, please. Oh.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I was looking at it going, it is off. But I don't. I'm like, because for me, my whole thing is, you know how they go on about the. I know I'm digressing. Sorry. You know how they go on about the arms and everything. I'm like, you can't score a fucking goal with your arms. So if you're doing that and you're off, go away. I mean, Wenger, when he was on David Seaman's podcast, he was talking about how he's trying to get all this stuff with FIFA and all that. And he's like, no. He's like, it's called football. So he's like, if your foot is off, you're
That's
off.
Different.
Anything else, leave it. It's like, we want to see goals. Entertainment industry.
Very, very good.
He's like, if your foot's off, you're off. Everything else, go away.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a rule a couple of years ago, or going back a bit, probably about 10 years ago, where it was like, if you're offside, you're only offside if it's part of your body that you can score the goal with. So your arm, you didn't take into account your arm. You know, obviously, if your head was slightly ahead of your foot was, then obviously, it was offside. But if it was your hand or your arm, obviously, you can't score a goal. You can't score a legal goal with your arm. So that wasn't taken into account. Obviously, if it was your chest, you take, and then that worked fine. And then all of a sudden, they just went back to whatever they're doing now. It's like more straightforward way of ruling offside or not. You know, if it's part of your body that you can score a goal with, then then it's offside. Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, obviously we go up the other end, and Martin Odegaard, the ball's spinning. I know that's somewhat of a cop out per se. He misses it, and you know, typical Arsenal, isn't it? We miss a chance, they go up the other end. Same sort of thing again. We don't learn. Isaac smashes it. Thank God. We're thinking, oh, it's hit the post. Brilliant. Oh no, there's Murphy. 1-0. Just Saliba there as well. Worst game he's played in an Arsenal shirt.
Oh, easily. Definitely.
I think his head was still on the Haaland goal. The way he got done for that, I think, you know, the way he got bullied. He basically got bullied. You know, at the back, he got pulled back one way, Haaland went the other, and then you can see, you know, he's not even challenging him. He's just holding him up almost. And I think that kind of plays games. I've never seen him play like that before. You know, absolutely rattled. And then even on their first goal as well, I think I said in the chat as well, I thought Gabriel was ball watching. He switched off when Isaac had the shot. You could see he slowed down. He just kind of gave up on it. And then when you see where the ball went, if he'd still been going in that direction, he might have been able to slide and get in the way of that, because the Murphy shot, because it went in off the post, the bottom of the post. It was a weird kind of finish. So who knows? He might have just got to it, and I just think they were both fatigued. You know, come on, they went up against that robot for 90 minutes. They knew it was personal. They had the interview before the game, you know, them sitting down and talking to the guy about themselves and everything. They knew what it was about, so they went through 90 minutes of that. And then they've got to, you know, focus against probably, you know, most informed striker in Europe, in the world at the moment. And you know, he was, you know, he hadn't scored in 2 games. He obviously didn't score last night, but you know, the guy's much more complete player than Haaland is. So yeah, I just think they were just cooked, basically, both of them. And I think, like you said, a couple of them were, you know, I think looking at him in hindsight, yeah, you should have maybe made a couple of changes, at least 2 or 3 changes, and then have those options off the bench, because then you make the bench a little bit stronger. But yeah, you know, hindsight.
And Trossard, he then produced a save from Dubravka from one of our best chances that half again as well. And then in the second, obviously, Anthony Gordon, he should have scored after Saliba and Raya again all over the place. I mean, David Raya this time, unbelievable. But yeah, he fluffed that wide. And then Raya, I've said it for weeks, he's either going to get lobbed like Aaron Ramsdale did in that Europa League game, or he's going to do another one of these hospital passes and they're going to end up scoring from it. And he did. He played it into Rice, got picked off, and he smashed it home. And we're obviously, again, out of the cup, well, another cup, with a whimper. And it's becoming, for me, this is becoming too much. It's becoming too much of a trademark under this manager, I'm afraid, of going out of cups with a whimper. And I'll go to you first, Mike, and then to Neil. Neil, I know me and you have this chat a lot. And obviously, Mike, when you're on and we're all on together as well, we have this conversation. But I can take trying and then losing. But when I feel there's no effort at all, other than from younger players, when these established, I mean, I'm not one of these idiots that are like, get that armband off him right now, Odegaard. Oh my God. But I mean, I said it in the chat earlier. I keep a record of who I give these man of the matches for with my channel and everything. And we've played 38 games this season. 38 games of last season, Martin Odegaard was man of the match 7 times, in my opinion. If my opinion counts for whatever. Probably, some people might think it does, some people might think it doesn't. For me, this season, he's got 1. So I cannot, and there's people telling me that he's not in a decline.
Yeah.
I'm like, use your eyes properly as well. Use your eyes, take the rose-tinted glasses off. He is having a terrible season.
Yeah.
Arguably his worst season in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah.
And he needs to stick it. He needs to pick it up big time, especially, we said about Havertz picking it up after Dubai. He needs to, because you've got the armband, son.
Yeah.
I mean, I said yesterday how angry I was that he come off, because I'm like, subbing your captain again. And and Andrew, bless him, from Dial Square to Where, if you want to check out his channel and everything. Love Andrew if he's listening. I've got all the time in the world for Andrew. But he was going to me, James, the game's lost. Like, why are you getting so mad? And he's like, who cares? And I said to him, I fucking care. I said, I care. Because I'm like, to me, it's so negative taking off your captain constantly. And he is still arguably your creator. I know the game was lost, and probably, I'm not saying necessarily I'm 100% right and Andrew's 100% wrong. It's a bit of both. But to me, I'm like, the connotations of constantly subbing your captain just looks bad.
Yeah, the optics, don't look right. And as you said, the fact that he's had that one man match, that was what probably the Chelsea game when he came back.
That's
right?
What I gave him it. Yeah, Chelsea.
And he probably weren't even fit then. Probably weren't even properly match fit in that game. There's definitely been a drop off. I think, as Neil said at the top about Arteta's management of the squad, he's running players into the ground. I think if you take Arteta's 5 years, I think the problem that we always have with him is his management of a squad and him not trusting in the squad that he's built and not taking players out to give them, breathers, and starting people, not giving the youngsters a chance of 10, 20 minutes in certain situations, as well as everything else. But I think that's the key one. And I think he remember when he said a couple of seasons ago, top players don't moan when they play. The top players play 3 games a week, or a game every 3 days. If you want to be at the top, if you look at Messi and Ronaldo, they play a game every 3 days, and so he's always dropping the gauntlet down to say, don't come to me complaining about being tired or whatever. If you want to be a top player, you've got to be ready. And I just think that's the wrong way to look at it. I just think I'm worried, especially going into the second half of the season now, with the squad size that we've got. And again, we talk about where's Havertz going to get his time, to recuperate. Where's Odegaard's going to get his time to recuperate? Is it Marino? I don't think you could even put him in the same level as him at all. He's nowhere near it. So there's definitely something wrong.
Well, Mike, if we're going to go into that, he's 3 signings on the field signings in a semi-final that you have to win. are all on the bench. He doesn't start them
Yeah,
all.
on the bench.
So if that doesn't indicate that your summer, you know, you can. Everyone can say that they thought the summer was great. Well, I'm like, well, the manager doesn't think it's great because he doesn't play any of them from the start. You know.
Yeah, the last two windows, the one just gone, just been an absolute joke, and it's such a shame because he said, oh, we need to maximise every window, and we kind of were doing that, even with the Mudryk one. We wanted to go after him, we didn't get him. We've got Trossard in. We wanted to get Caicedo, we didn't. We got Jorginho in. So even though we didn't get our target, we still got somebody in just to keep things ticking over. And the last two windows, I mean, I don't think we needed Marino. Edu obviously didn't think we needed him. He didn't think we needed Calafiori as well. Arteta got his way, and then obviously the rest is history. Yeah, Edu's gone. The rest is history. I mean, people are saying it's because he went for a job, but I don't think. I think it's because he wasn't getting listened to, and Arteta had too much power, and basically wanted what would only get what he wanted. And we see the ramifications of it now. Look at the state of the squad now. You know, we've got a bench full of left backs. The fitness of the team is this season it's just fallen off a cliff. Just had injuries left, right, and centre. You know, and it's just because I think they've been overplayed. I think this style of football, that the absolute effort they've put in, there's going to be a drop off. And even though we've had a little bit of a drop off, we're still kind of within not touching distance, but we're not that far away from Liverpool, who are running away from it. But let's just hope, guys, that this trip to Dubai it repeats what happened last year. Because if it doesn't, we know what's going to happen. The media are just going to be waiting for us. Oh, this was supposed to be your chance. Why hasn't it repeated itself? And they're going to use that as another stick to beat us with. Oh, Arsenal went away for a 10-day warm weather training and they've come back and they still haven't kicked on. Do you know what I mean? So people are already getting ready to use that to beat us over with, with Miles, with the celebrations, so. But yeah, Odegaard,
yeah, I mean,
needs to come back.
That's the thing, Mike, as well, which is sort of annoying me, is that the club have sort of gaslit the fans into thinking this Dubai thing is such a. Yeah. And I'm like, do you know what I'd rather be doing than going to Dubai, playing in the next round of the FA Cup this weekend? That's what I'd rather be doing.
Yeah,
I'm going further in cup competitions, but instead, we're doing what we're doing. And just quickly, just to wrap up with this Newcastle, I've got the graphic here as well. Man of the match for me for Newcastle, if we had to pick anyone, for me was Nwaneri. Again, I've done the thumbnail today with him and Lewis Skelly sat together after the City game. And I think it's the young boys. I really do. I think the two youngsters, the episode, I might as well have called it the Nwaneri and Skelly show, because they're for me, they're the standouts. And we've got international established players, and yet it's the kids that are pulling through.
I'm sorry. I just want to quickly say, I'm not going to talk about the game at all, so I don't want to. What I'm going to talk about is the fact that this is a semi-final. I don't care if it's the League Cup. For me, every cup is important, or every competition is important, because I've said it. How many times have I said it? If you win something, you're rewarding the players for their hard work. Especially when you got a crop of young players who are trying to establish themselves in their career and probably want to try and do their best for the club. If you keep coming away with nothing season after season, it almost becomes like, well, that's an expectation. How do we get out of it? It's harder to get out of that. Not having that winning mentality. If you win a cup, it doesn't matter if it's even the League Cup. It breeds. Winning is infectious, guys. We've said it so many times. It's infectious. It's a reward, and then you've got that winning mentality. And once you've done it once, it's almost like, well, look how great it is. That great that feeling is. And if it takes two youngsters to show all the others to turn up or try and do something in a semi-final, which wasn't lost. Okay, we had our backs up, 2-0 going 2-0 down and going to St James's Park. It's no easy task. I get it, and unfortunately, it's right on the back of a great win. But I think you guys are right that the players were pretty fatigued. But still, show something, because you're right, James. We've all said it. You said it there earlier. That if you just watch a team just fall apart and think, it's almost like they didn't care. It's almost as if they were already in Dubai. For me, they were already in Dubai. They already packed their bags. They didn't even what they thought. Well, look, we beat Man City 5-1. Who cares about this? That's not the attitude to have, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just reminded me of Saka and ESR holding the team up a few years ago. It takes Larry and Skelly to do the same yesterday. It's not good enough. Sorry.
And I mean, there were fans as well after the game going, "Oh, well, it's tin pot anyway." That irks me so much. I'm like, who are we? I'm like, we have not won anything for 6 years. Who are we to diminish any trophy? I mean, fair enough. I think I was only 2 or 3 the last time we won the League Cup. I mean, hell, rest his soul, it was his birthday at the weekend. Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright were up front. That's how long ago it was the last time that we won that League Cup. They were up front together. That's how long ago it was. So I'm like, who is? Where have we got? A lot of this stay humble stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but where's this entitlement that we can just go? Oh, we're going to win. I just want to win the Champions League and the league.
James, well said.
Who the fuck are we?
No, you're right. And you know what? I bet your bottom dollar, because the last time we won it, we won the first ever domestic double. We were the first team to do the first domestic double.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure all of those fans who remember that and the ones that are now saying it's a Tin Pot Cup weren't calling it a Tin Pot Cup then because it was part of history.
Do you know what I said to him, Neil? Do you know what I said to him? And none of them responded. I just went, if we beat Newcastle, were you going to give your final ticket to me then? Because it's Tin Pot, isn't it? It's Tin Pot. You don't want to be there. It's a Tin Pot joke. So I was like, all your tickets going on the exchange, are they? Am I going? I'm going to Wembley then. Because you're not, because it's Tin Pot.
You know what? How can we help ourselves when our own fans are like this?
That's the problem.
We've already got every single non-Arsenal person against us anyway. And then the old fans are arguing like this. This is why, as much as I hate them, at least their fans are always united, and you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, it doesn't matter that they're crap; they've not won anything for decades, but their fans at least are united. Look at us. And it is almost like entitlement. And then you have the fans within our groups who are like, oh, well, I'm better than you, because I've got 50,000 followers and I'm better than you. And I don't care what you have to say. You've got to listen to it. It just makes me sick. It makes me sick. Technology has been great for many reasons, but at the same time, it's been such a nasty thing that's afflicted all of us in some shape or form. It's not good, but all the cups are important, all of them. But so let's go ahead and win the double now, can we, please?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and just quickly before we wrap up, it's going to be a tough ask. I'll go to you first, Mike, because you're more well versed in it than Neil is. I know Neil's slightly coming round. He's getting better with his transfers. Neil is now. He's starting to get a bit more interested. We're rubbing off on him, which is good. But I mean, the lack of the movement in this window, and you spoke about it with the Edu situation. Obviously, the Gunner Blog articles come out, some other articles from Mock Bell and what have you else as well. And the big stickler for me is this 20 million tag that now. I know Aston Villa might not have budged at 60 million for Watkins and wanted more, but the way the article is sounding and what have you is we offered the 40, they said no, they wanted 60, and then they would have. And it sounds like the player was already like. Yes, please, Arsenal. Yeah. So, I mean, the Duran transfer probably wouldn't have helped matters, but I think if you'd have put the 60 there, it might have thrown some spanner in the works. And I'm not necessarily saying that Ollie Watkins would have won Arsenal the league or the Champions League, but he's certainly a guarantee compared to a foreign loan abroad, per se, a Morata that we were looking at. You've got more of a guarantee of Ollie Watkins scoring for Arsenal than say a Morata or anyone else that's a foreign loan. I mean, the track record is there for him in the league, especially he's 20 goals a season guaranteed for the last 2-3 years.
I mean, just before we start, the neighbours are losing 4-0, so that's at least there's a little bit of a smile, smile.
He always wins something in his second season, Mike.
Yeah,
what's going on?
You can always rely on them to bring a smile to the end of the week, no matter how bad things are in our universe. But I'm disappointed because I've liked Ollie Watkins because of the journey that he's made and from Brentford and what he's done and the fact that he's a Gooner, and really disappointed for him because I think we've mentioned probably months ago, maybe at the start of the season, James, and we would have said, Watkins, he's someone that we should look at because he ticks all the boxes. He runs his arse off. He's strong. He can hold the ball up, and he can finish. And he's quick. He can play. He can play a ball over the top into the channels. He can hold it up. He can drop a shoulder. He can take a shot. You know what I mean? He ticks so many boxes that and the fact that he's an Arsenal fan as well, you know, which would have meant the world to him to actually, you know, have that little extra 5%. So that's what I was really, really gutted that we didn't pull that off. And the way that it was structured, if the club, you know, when you're negotiating, you know, if you're in that situation, you don't obviously go and give them what they want straight away, but you don't undercut it to 40 million. You've got to sort of say, okay, we'll give you 50 and maybe add-ons. Then they say no, we want 60. Okay, 55, and then you get some add-ons, and then the deal gets done because you're showing a little bit of respect. You're not totally taking the mick out of it. Whoever came up with the 40 million valuation, I don't know if that's Jason Ato or Tim Lewis. I don't know, because I don't know where that comes from when we supposedly have all this money that we can spend, which Swiss Ramble said, because of, you know, falling in PSR. Just get it done. Get it done. I'm getting sick and tired. This is another thing which annoys me with fandom at the moment, Neil, you mentioned. Is this, we can't buy him because he hasn't got this sell on value. You know, why are you thinking of selling someone straight away if that person comes in and does a job? If he comes in and wins a title, do you think I'm thinking of Ollie Watkins sell on value? No, I want him to stay in because he's helped us win a title or do something in one of the cup competitions. It just blows my mind.
Mike, it was added to that as well. Oh yeah, but it will upset Havertz. If Havertz gets upset as someone coming in competition, then he ain't got the fucking minerals to play for us in the first place. Then
Havertz gets more upset. Havertz gets upset when he misses penalties. Havertz gets upset when he misses a header, you know, 1 yard from goal, mate. So I don't think another player coming in is going to upset him, because, you know, it's football. It's professional football. I mean, I do think for someone that shithouses and picks up silly yellow cards, and you see him giving it back to Trippier and stuff like that, he has got this sort of yellow belliedness in his character that, you know, as soon as something goes wrong, his head goes down. And he's like, that's really sort of strange to me, that he's got that side of him. But then when he something doesn't go right for him on a footballing sense, if he misses a chance, his just head goes. I don't get that. But yeah, I'm disappointed that we didn't get Watkins, because he would have been a body. He would have been someone proven in the Premier League, could have hit the ground running. Yeah, I feel for him, because he obviously, like we said, he would have walked to the Emirates to play for us, and now we've got someone who's a bit peeved off, and he's probably going to end up scoring a couple of goals against us when we play against him next season. And then we're relying on this Benjamin Sesko, you know, whether he's the answer or not. You know, what if he isn't? But everyone's saying, no, this is the one. And who's to say we get a free run at him? Who's to say everything's all done and dusted? Everyone's saying, oh, Isaac as well. You know, we're not getting Isaac. But why do we all of a sudden think, it's a bit like what you said with the cup, Sir James? We've got this entitlement that think, oh yeah, Isaac will come to us. Don't worry, he won't think of going to Barcelona. He won't think of going to Liverpool. He'll come to us. Who are we? You know, who are we to say that?
You don't think Liverpool are going to sell Darwin Núñez at the end of the season, want a striker?
Well, they turned down 70 million for him.
Exactly.
Apparently,
that's only going to go up.
Well, exactly. But even if they don't, even if it doesn't, and they sell him, what do you think they're going to do with that 70 million? Exactly. They're going to put it back with whatever they might get for salary if he goes, and then throw it at Newcastle.
Who's in charge of Red Bull now, Mike?
Oh,
Who's
yeah,
their director?
Yeah.
You think Jurgen Klopp's going to give Liverpool the player or Arsenal the player?
Yeah, exactly. It's just mind blowing that we've got this entitlement that, oh yeah, he's going to come to us. Don't worry, that we'll wait till the summer, and then you've got Sammy Mockbell coming out with, oh, it's going to be unprecedented summer. I'm pretty sure that I was reading that stuff last summer. That Arsenal
we've had that for 3 summers in a row.
I'm sure you can clip it, because basically as soon as we get beat, we lose a game, there's some transfer stuff that comes out. It happened, and then as soon as we got knocked out against Bayern in Champions League, oh yeah, we need someone with an X factor. We need someone who's going to do something in the last third. All right then, Marino and Calafiori. You telling me about all the thousands of footballers that are playing in the world, you couldn't get someone up? There was Kvaratskhelia, who plays for Napoli. He was the he was an open goal for me. He's exactly what we need. Is someone on the left-hand side with that X factor who can beat a man like that, drop of a shoulder, can score goals. He's on 30k, was he? 30k a week at Napoli. PSG ended up getting him for 60. You're telling me he's not good? He couldn't have come in and done the job, but we're thinking, all right, we'll wait for Nico Williams. Arteta's obsessed with him. Oh yeah, don't worry, he's not going to go Barcelona. He's not going to go anywhere else. He's going to come to. Come on, man, seriously. It's just this entitlement that. Don't worry, they'll turn everyone else away, and we've got the pool. It's so frustrating, mate. It really is. It's just been an absolute. It's been a shit show. Basically, the transfer window, the last two. It's been an absolute joke. Look at the state of our squad. Look at it, and we're in phase 5. We're in phase 5. It's like fucking MCU. You know what I mean? It's all gone to shit now. When it got to phase 5 in the MCU and it went to shit, they made all this nonsense, and now it's the same thing happening. It's a joke, man. It's an absolute joke.
And, I mean, Neil, I know I don't really like to bring you in on the transfers because I know you normally despise it, but just for yourself, obviously, I know we're coming up to an hour and a half, so I'll try and do this as quick as I can. The best Arsenals for me that I've seen were obviously 98, the 0102 and the Invincibles. That's my era. They're the best. And you had Ian Wright, Bergkamp, Anelka, and Christopher Wray. All different. He's good at this. He's good at that. He can do a bit of this. He can do a bit of that. After that, Henry, Bergkamp, Wiltord, Carnu. All different. He's good at this. He could. If that's not working, put 6'7" Carnu on. Go long ball. If that's not working, Wiltord, for whatever reason, can just score important goals at important times. Bring him on. Dennis Bergkamp is Dennis Bergkamp. He's in a league of his own. And then Thierry Henry, well, he's just under Dennis Bergkamp for me. We know that.
Correct.
So, and now it's just like, it's Kai Havertz or nothing. I don't understand how Arteta was at Man City when Man City were in their pomp, and it was Aguero. And if Aguero didn't work, we've got Jesus. And if Jesus didn't work, we got Sterling. And if Sterling doesn't work, it's this one. So he's been in a structure that's had interchangeable players that are all different. Ed and Dzeko go long. People like that. So he's been brought up with that. He knows that. And yet, for me, I don't like that he's got this, and I'm blaming the Cronkies slightly here as well. And I'm blaming the people that the Cronkies have put in charge, because a David Dean would go, forget that 20 million. We're just going to pay it. We're going to get you the player, win that league or that Champions League, son. And then we'll make that 20 million back in the summer. We won't even, don't worry. But this is this obsession with, and I mean, loads of Arsenal fans are like it as well, where they're like, well, I'm not spending. I'm like, it's not your fucking money. Why?
It's not your money. Why are you worrying? Why are you worrying about the resale
I wouldn't
value?
be paying that. I wouldn't be paying that. I don't care anymore. And I said, the person that we buy would have been a panic anyway. It would have been a panic anyway. So you were overspending because you've left it. I mean, the whole approach of the Jesus injury was when he wanted to act. I'm like, you needed one before Saka even got it. When you had the depth, you still needed another forward.
You needed one before the season began. Forget the injuries.
Havertz cost 65 million to replace Xhaka. It didn't work. So you moved him to replace your 50 million striker Jesus, who hasn't worked. And now you've signed a 38 million pound midfielder to replace Havertz, who hasn't worked. In Moreno. So I'm like, how you constantly keep getting this wrong, and yet, like we said, this entitlement, and I will say it because I don't care anymore, but this cultish fan base of Arteta, who are more Arteta fans than Arsenal fans, keep telling me that he's going to get this right. And I'm like, well, what's the evidence? Because he's never signed an attacking player. He's never signed a centre forward other than Jesus, and let's be honest, if he was any good, Man City would never have sold him to us in the first place.
Never. We're not like Wenger was when he stupidly sold Van Persie to Man United. It just, that was a mistake. I think Wenger's actually admitted it now. There was absolutely no way that they were going to sell Jesus if he was going to be this wonder striker for us. You're absolutely right on that one, and it is very, very worrying that a club a size of Arsenal, where now we don't have to worry about the stadium debts, because before that's what was constraining Wenger. We passed all of that now. With the reason why we moved to the stadium was to compete with the Real Madrids and Barcelonas of this world. What are we doing? We're ogling over 20 million, where we shouldn't be even worrying about it. Like you said, James, you pay the money. This is why we need a strong sporting director. That is now, for me, the most paramount signing, because Arteta, someone needs to stand up to Arteta, because maybe Edu wasn't able to do so. Or maybe he was getting shafted. In other words, we think we're never going to know. We're never going to know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Arteta. Maybe he's not like that. Maybe he's not getting involved. But I, for some reason, can't see that. I think he is getting involved, and I think
everything's coming out saying it's him that's vetoed.
Right. Well then. We need someone to come in, a footballing brained someone to go in there and say, no, Mikel, we're doing it this way. We are doing it this way, and he has to get the board's backing as well, and. Then and only then, when he can do all of that stuff, take all the other responsibilities away from Arteta, you focus on the pitch, mate, because we're turning into another Wenger situation when he lost Dean. Then that's when I think things may start improving. But we have to get someone in who knows how to buy good players and not worry about the blooming money. And you're right. You mentioned about resale value earlier. Who cares? I don't give it. I'm resale value or no resale value. I'm still going to pay 80 quid to go and watch that boxing game down the right road. It's still going to cost me the same amount of money. So why, as a fan, are you worried about it?
Neil, all the people that go on about resale value, who's the last good player that we sold for decent money?
Yeah, we messed that up anyway.
Be honest.
We messed that all up anyway.
What, Iwobi? Oxlade, yeah. I'm like, who's the last real person that we sold for where we've all gone, do you know what? That was a good deal. I mean, Smith Rowe and maybe, actually, to extent, Eddie, the amount that we got from Crystal Palace for buying Eddie's a bloody really good move. Yeah. So I take that back. Yeah, actually, in hindsight,
we're definitely
getting that money for Eddie was great.
I think we're definitely sorry, Neil. I think we're definitely in the end game now, definitely for Arteta. I think it's true. It's true what people have said about, okay, as long as he gets top 4, KSC will be fine with it. They will be fine with it. But you know what? Who won't be fine with it? The fans won't be fine with it. Because last time when things went pear-shaped with him, he didn't have fans in the stadium. When we were finishing 8th, when we were getting turned over by Leicester, they came down and sorted us out. Wolves came out and beat us. Villa came out and beat us. There was no one in the stadium. And when the football was absolutely dog shit, there was no one in the stadium having a go at him when he had those 2 8th-place finishes. So the fans, we're not going to put up for it. I know we aren't. A lot of fans aren't going to suddenly be challenging for 2 titles, getting so close, and then thinking, okay, it's all right, as long as we get top 4 and we get knocked out the cups, quarterfinals, whatever. They're not going to be happy with that. So I think, and the key reason why we're in the end game is because next season is the 25-26 season. So that's the key. Season after that is the 26-27 season. And Saliba's contract is up in 2027. Saka's contract is up in 2027. And so is Arteta's. So we've got to go back to, if he doesn't deliver anything in next season, those 2 have got a year left, and they're going to be either negotiating a new contract, and if they don't, then they're going to have to get sold. And if that happens, if Saka goes, that's it. He hasn't got a leg to stand on, mate. He's not got a leg to stand on, because so next season he has to deliver the Premier League or the Champions League. If not, then he's gone. It has to. No more excuses, because by then, James, he would have probably spent about $1 billion.
Yeah.
If they're talking about 250 million in the summer, that's $1 billion he spent.
Yeah, and 1 FA Cup, and I know people go on about Man United, the money they spent, and I'm like, I'm like, Ten Hag, they are rubbish, and they've won more than us.
Yeah,
I'm like, we can laugh and banter them as much as they want. He's won more than Arteta has.
We've got nowhere near a cup final.
No, it's shameful.
Since he won
and it's always with a whimper as well. It's always
Can you
like,
imagine if Wenger had that money? Wow.
Neil, this is the argument I have with people, because I remember how visceral. I mean, I was one of the world's worst. How visceral I was with Wenger in the end, because he just wound me up so much.
Yeah.
And now that he's come out after, with all the comments about, oh, in hindsight, I should have gone earlier and stuff, that just infuriated me even more, because I was like, you were too stubborn and you didn't want to give something away. You didn't want to admit that you weren't the man that you thought you were, which I get. It's quite upsetting and it's hard. But yeah, it just really irked me. But I'm telling you now, you give Arsene Wenger 800 million quid, he'd have won us more than one FA Cup.
Yeah.
And that's me being as angry, and even the most antiest of anti-Wenger people can sit there and go, do you know what? With 800 million quid,
look, even I get on the defensive about it. Sometimes saying that it's his first major job and managerial job, and he's still very young. But you know what? I'm now tired of myself in saying that.
7 years in, Neil.
Exactly. You've had more than enough time to bed in. You've had more than enough time to gain the experience. It's your team. It's your players. I don't think there's anyone left from anywhere else. Literally, maybe a couple here and there, but it's your team. This is down to you. It's down to you, mate. So
Neil, he rules the roost. Like I was saying on Mike's show at the weekend, I'm very fortunate to know certain people that were invited into the certain circles, media-wise and what have you. They said in America, the players come out first, and then some of the the minute he walks on, everything's sight. He is aura. He is the omega of everything. They're like,
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Well, again, it's the power complexes, and I know every single manager's got an ego, but I'm like, I agree with Mike. I think this year, I'm still confident. Have the break in Dubai. Let's see what happens, because we're not. It's not impossible. We can.
We're still winning the double. Come on.
Yeah.
Pressure's on now. He needs to deliver. If it all goes pear shaped and it all crumbles. Then it's all of them. There's no one else you can look at.
He's not going anywhere at the end of this season.
No
matter how much I can sit here and say, I'd question it. He ain't going nowhere this season.
Of course he's not.
So again, I'm like you, Mike. I think next, especially if you get a 250+ million outlay, and again, no excuses. I want everybody signed, sealed, delivered, in the words of Stevie Wonder, by that America trip. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I want everyone in, bedded in, ready to play. Potentially, if we're second and we have to play the Community Shield, even, I want everyone in and ready for that. Let alone the first game. Let alone the first game.
And no whimpering out in either of the cups. Neither of the cups. No whimpering out.
Yeah, we have to get a jump on it, because you're right. We've got to do that. Apparently, the sporting director has been has got his fingers in terms of what's going to happen in the summer. So there is a sporting director. It's not Jason Ato. He's not got it. There's definitely a sporting director there. But
thank God he should stick to making crisps in Ireland, because he's not good at he's not good at sporting director.
But you got to think about it. Like in the summer, there's no World Cup, there's no Euros to stop with any. Oh, okay, we can't negotiate because they're in camp or whatever. We know there's internationals, obviously, but they've got this bonkers World Club Cup which is going on. So you're going to have Chelsea, doing whatever they're doing. You're going to have City doing whatever they're doing. So let them. If they've got targets or whatever, and they're out there doing that, then we've got to try and make sure that if we've got the same targets and we're talking to the same guys, we've just got to make a move. And as you said, we have to have everyone in place by the time we go to the States. And this is it. Regardless of what happens this season, obviously we want it to be a successful one. But if it isn't, it's all on him. And then if he gets back in the summer, he's got to deliver 26, 25, 26. If he doesn't, he's gone, mate. He has to. I don't care what context it is. Or if we get to the Champions League final, we lose. If you finish a point away from Liverpool or whoever it is, I don't care. You've got to deliver something. You've got to deliver one of the big ones. If you don't, and if you don't sort out your cup record as well, he's got to go. He's got to go. I don't know why people are hanging on to it, thinking, the Emirates is going to fall down if we lose Arteta. We're not going to be able to play the Angel anymore. And if he goes, because he's the one that introduced it, and what's going to happen to Win the Dog, and who's going to look after? Who's going to look after her and all that? Come on, man, seriously.
If ever the Emirates was going to fall down, it would have been to one man, and that's Arsene Wenger, and it's still standing.
Yeah, And my
And if he does go,
response
James, sorry, and if he does get go, we might actually have a team that takes a set piece quickly and not try and make it into some sort of sideshow where everyone's got to see where everyone's talking. Gabriel's got to go over and talk to Odegaard. Then he's got to go over and talk to the guys at the back, and all the spotlights on the guys. This is it. This is our chance. Jova gets his coat off and starts coming out, appears in a puff of smoke. There's doves flying about, and he's there doing this and that. And then we might actually get somebody who takes a throw in quickly as well.
Yes, Timber. Yes, Timber.
Because I tell you what, James, yesterday, like when you say when something happens, you take a drink, you take a shot, and then maybe saying something happens. When fucking Timber has a throw in, I go to the kitchen, I put the kettle on. I ask the missus, do you want a biscuit with this cup of tea?
Yeah.
And she goes, I'll have one. You sure you don't want two? Okay, I'll have two. I'll wait for the kettle to boil, I'll stir it, mix it, bring it in to the missus. And Timber's still there with the fucking ball in his head. He's not thrown it yet.
Mike, I'll be brutally honest. I know you both follow him on the. I know you both follow my brother on Twitter and everything. He'll tell you because he's in the house. He's in the house with me most of the time. If the game's on, and I will not have a slack until halftime or full. I will be sat there like that, like desperate, like thinking like, oh my god, I'm going to gush all over myself because I need to pee, and I won't do it. But Timber yesterday, I got up and pissed to come back. He still had the ball in his hands. I swear to you, you're spot on. He still hadn't thrown the ball, and I'd slash, and I wash my hands. I'm not a freak. I'll sing happy birthday 2 or 3 times, like Boris told me back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, on that note, thank you both so much. We've run over massively, so apologies.
Good chat.
But
mate.
thank you both as always for being here.
Thank you so much, James.
No, I appreciate both of you as always. But Mike, if people want to hear more, where can they find you?
Yeah,
and not James, like how these Arsenal fans tried to find Michael Oliver, as in.
Yeah, you can find me on Arsenal Above All and on X and Blue Sky. I think I'm on Threads as well. Got a thing on there, and obviously my handle is Chopper H5791, and just happy to be on your show again, man. You have a good chat and with yourself and Neil, and hope you have you guys on a bit more as we go on in this season, and hopefully it's a good finish. But I just kind of got this feeling of dread that we'll be probably here having this chat again at some point.
You're a legend, thank you, and all of Mike's channel information and everything is in the bio, so click it and you will go straight there. As always, I chuck that in for you, Mike. And Neil, where can everybody find you as well?
Hopefully nowhere, but just here on your channel.
Of course not. Jason Bourne. He's after Jason Bourne. No one's going to find him. Most dangerous Arsenal fan.
Shut up, Michael.
How dangerous are you in the box, Neil? Because you might get a game. I mean, that made me laugh.
I can score tap-ins. I was pretty good at that. I'm rubbish at football, but I can take a corner and I can score tap-ins. I mean it. I was good at corners.
It made me laugh when they said about Sterling being an option up front. I went, when you cross at nauseam, you're going to have to get Moreno or someone to pick him up so he could be high enough to head the fucking thing.
That's it. Exactly.
Anyway,
but
thank
James,
you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
No,
Michael.
much love, and we'll play this outro. And we'll get back to our evenings. But yeah.
Doubles coming. Doubles
Yes, keep the faith. I know we were a bit angry and shouty and whatever, but we still love the club. Come on.